All right, we got Shaq Quarterman, linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, on the podcast. Shaq, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you for having me, man.
No problem, no problem. Shaq, you were drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2020 in the fourth round. Tell me a little bit about what was your initial reaction when you got the news that you got drafted?
My initial reaction, I really had to drop down and thank God. And it's two initial reactions, to be honest, because when I got the call on the phone, my parents had no idea who it was. And then by the time I hung up the call, I couldn't even tell them before my name was flashing across the screen next. So, the first thing I did, I got on my knees and thank God, just for the opportunity for bringing me such a long way. And then after that, I thanked them again because how many players get to play in their own backyard, It's a crazy percentage that, of the people that get to make it to the league. And it's even a crazier percentage that get to play for the home team.
Yeah, I saw your reaction video on YouTube, and it was great, man. I mean, it must have been great just to be there with your family celebrating that.
For sure. I had a couple people come up, a small group of people, just my media, but it's something I'll never forget.
Yeah. Um, you and I, Shaq, share something in common. We're both you've lived in Orange Park, Florida, and I have as well.
For sure.
Then you go to the University of Miami, you play football there, and then you get drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars and you play pro ball in your hometown. That's got to be kind of one rare and two crazy.
Yes, to say the least. To say the least, it's unheard of, man. And even in this draft or the draft that I was in, I think it was only one or two other players I can remember that did the same thing. And it almost makes you feel like the stars are aligning, special things in play, whatever, higher power somebody believes in, you got to say, everything happens for a reason. So I was so happy, man. And I'm still happy right now to be able to play in front of my friends and family, old coaches, old fans that's been following me since middle school.
Yeah.
It's crazy to behold.
Yeah, man, we're happy to have you too. You go to Miami, you play for Coach Manny Diaz. I think initially he was your defensive coordinator, and then your linebackers coach, and then he became the head coach in 2019. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like to play for Coach Diaz?
Playing for Coach Diaz, I loved it, man. The first word I would say was accountability. From the second I stepped on campus, coaching change, not the original staff I was recruited by. It went off without a cinch, man. He was such a great coach and still is a great coach, just off the sheer care and accountability, he showed his love through all types of tough love. And I love that. It made me into the player that I am, putting a lot on me as a freshman and really telling me like, I see potential in you, but it's not enough just to have potential. I need you to, command the locker room, command the defense, because this is your defense, And that was probably after my first or second week on campus, So he really pushed me, and I love that. And I love that.
Well, it must have been really cool you probably got to know him real well because he was your linebackers coach, and you being a linebacker,
Exactly.
and then he came back to become the head coach. So that must have been really cool.
Exactly. I was so happy for him. If anybody deserved it, it was definitely him. Just his tenacity and the way that he coaches. I haven't met many people that want to win more than him. And I love that, man. If he gets onto you, like how a lot of coaches do, and it's not in the nicest way of how some people may say, man, it's because he wants to win that bad. He wants you to perfect your technique to the point where, you're in a winning position every play. And he
Yeah.
does it with aggression, and I love it. I
Yeah.
really do.
He's definitely really passionate. A lot of people say he's the mastermind behind the infamous turnover chain, the gold chain that has Miami zip code 305, and then
Right.
the mascot on it. Did you feel privileged to get to wear that chain?
Of course, it's the best incentive in college football, and we've seen it time and every year when everybody tried to copy it with backpacks and even trash cans, and it's the best incentive, and there's nowhere else better for it than Miami, Florida, man. I've gotten to wear it a couple of times. You have to. How
Yeah.
can you play defense for the U and not put on that chain? Oh,
Were there any special rules around it? Did any of the players get to keep it for a day if they had a good game or?
no, no matter how good of a game, that's what made it so special. You had to perfect your technique or just be playing to the point that you are able to achieve that. You got the pigskin, you got the ball, and you put that chain on until you go in for the next drive. Go do it again, get the chain again. That's why I say it was a really great and still is a great incentive.
Nice. A couple of your teammates got drafted in the same draft as you. And one of them, I believe, Jonathan Garvin, he plays for the Green Bay Packers. And
Mm-hmm.
last season we played the Packers, so I was just kind of curious. Did you get a chance to talk to him, kind of catch up?
No, I didn't even get a chance to talk with him that game, man. I missed him that time, but yeah, I didn't get a chance to see him.
Have you gotten a chance to kind of stay in touch or catch up with like Coach Diaz or any of your former teammates?
Yeah, for sure. You have to, man. I just got off the phone with DJ Dallas yesterday.
Okay.
So we definitely try to keep in contact, and if we don't, just through, being busy in this league and staying active, we always find time to even if it's just the update, how you doing, what it's looking like,
Yeah.
all types of from jokes back in the day.
Yeah, you got to do it, man. Got to stay in touch and stay sane throughout this crazy pandemic. But so I want to talk a little Jags football here. So obviously it's been a little bit of a weird offseason, still going through the pandemic. So I'm sure stuff is still kind of remote. You have a new coaching staff coming in. I was just kind of curious. Did you have a chance to kind of catch up with Coach Cullen or Coach Strong?
Yes, for sure. I've talked to Coach Strong a couple of times since he's officially gotten the job, and we really catched up on. He gave me my first college offering when I was in high school when he was at Louisville at the time.
Oh wow.
So he went on to say that he's been known what type of player I could be, and it's just crazy how God works, in mysterious ways and all of that. So he just raised about how he's excited to get to work, and so am I. I'm really excited to be able to put in a lot of work with a familiar face and with a group, a really good group of guys.
Yeah, really excited to see what you guys can do this upcoming season. So Shaq, I have a question, just kind of a positional question on linebacker.
Okay.
I played, high school football. I played on the offensive line, so I always kind of thought that a center was kind of the quarterback of the offensive line. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, on defense, the linebacker, middle linebacker is kind of, in my mind, the quarterback of the defense. Would you say that holds true?
I definitely think so. I definitely think so. Your Mike linebacker traditionally and usually, just a guy really, dictating what the plan is for the defense, from the front to the back, from corner to corner. It's just always the Mike is always the focal point.
Okay. Now, with Joe Cullen, he mentioned, defensive coordinator for the Jags, that he is entertaining maybe trying out the 3-4. Jacksonville's traditionally played the 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
As a middle linebacker, does that change at all? Your roles, because I know it does with defensive ends. They kind of switch to being an outside linebacker, going from that
Yeah.
3-point stance to the 2-point stance.
Yeah. It changes the tad for the fact, like you said, we have one linebacker that turns into outside linebacker, and you really get two middle or two inside linebackers in that type of package. But I mean, depending on who you ask, it makes it easier for the linebacker. Now, you can play faster. You got guys that are holding up certain gaps and things of that nature. But it's different types of 3-4 packages. There's different ways to play it. On any given play, a lot of 3-4 packages come with an instant stunt or a call stunt every play. So the gaps can get a little funky depending on the offense, but no, I like it. I ain't gonna lie.
Now, do you have more experience playing in the tradition, like in the 4-3,
For
or
sure.
okay, gotcha.
For
Okay,
sure. Yeah.
so obviously, Shaq, you had a huge role on special teams last season. I was just kind of curious after the 2020 season, when you kind of reflect on things, was there one particular thing that you took away, like the most important thing you learned during your rookie season?
The most important thing I learned, definitely, I would definitely say the one thing I took away, the one dad give takeaway was you have to stay ready. You
Yeah.
know, you have to stay ready in this league. You know, and it's so important because you're at a place where the margin for error is so small. You know, and the margin for opportunity is even smaller at some points. You know, so whenever you get your chance, you have to be ready. And you never know, you being ready can turn into a whole different type of role or a whole different type of, dynamic. So I love it, man. It's all about accountability. And yeah, looking back at my rookie season, it's about just keeping at it every day, without the structure that college gives you, that you could be used to, just as a rookie. I learned a lot about the business side of the league and definitely just staying ready, being a pro, as we should say.
Yeah. Um, you know, uh, on a lighter note, you watch these shows like Inside the, Hard Knocks rather, or like, these kind of documentary shows on football teams. I was just kind of curious. You see like a lot of pranks that are pulled on the rookies and the incoming rookies. And I was just kind of curious, did any of the vets, pull any pranks on you, or was there one that was memorable?
Pranks. We were blessed with some good vets, some old savvy vets. So pranks, we didn't really get too many of those. Like I can't say, but in terms of like duties and chores, for sure, Miles made sure if he could just think of something and say, "Yeah, I need you to go grab that before we get on the plane," and we got to get on the plane in about an hour or two.
Yeah.
So stuff like that was real. It was funny to me just how watching the vets use a veteran leverage on us. I think that's funny, but not too many pranks.
All right. Um, so last question, Shaq. What would you say your most memorable moment was last season?
The most memorable, probably the first game, my first ever NFL game, running out of that tunnel, being in the action for the first time and really realizing, that I could play in this league for a long time.
Yeah.
Honestly, telling myself that and realizing that within myself, I said, "Oh yeah, this is really what I've been waiting for." I'm just staying ready and ready to take off.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, Shaq, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And we're happy to have you. Best of luck for the upcoming season. And I'll be rooting for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.